You ever been lost in the woods? I have plenty of times, mainly because I'm an idiot. The other day I was running a little late, trying to get home a little quicker. I just finished shooting a video and I figured I know where the path is. I'll just go straight through the woods. These two paths it's just a little shortcut. And that's usually my first problem right there. So I went wandering through the woods, wandering around for about 10-15 minutes, ended up right back where I was. This is similar to our spiritual path. We get so lost because there's so much noise and so much distraction, and we think, hey, I know a shortcut. I know how to get around this. I know how to fix this problem or avoid this problem completely. We try to go around the problem instead of heading and facing it head on. It always leads to trouble. For me, it's always a lot of trouble. I've been lost in the woods so many times, and it's pure ego right there. Pure ego. I wanted to do this video today because so many of my friends and those who maybe seek guidance from me in my videos, and myself included, we just get lost in the woods. We stray from our spiritual path, seeking the divine, seeking God, and we wander around aimlessly because we think that's the best way to do it. We think there's a shortcut. There are shortcuts at times for certain things. Profound problems, there's no getting around them. You gotta get them straight on. Every one of your fears, every one of your anxieties, your guilt, your shame, you have to confront it straight on. So I wanted to do this, and you'll have to forgive me for my notes. I'm going to be reading some of this, but I like to go off on my own little tangents, so my notes will probably be just a guide for me, as I hope it's a guide for you. I know that you're lost. I know that you're hurting. I think that we let chaos rule. The subject today is addiction and suffering mainly, and mental illness. So many people are diagnosed with mental illness, but so few actually have something in their brains that are making themselves feel crazy. But those who do can be really lost. The longer and the more we push God away, the more we suffer. So many of my family and friends have been at war with their inner demons for so long. They always manifest as addiction or mental illness, even if you don't have mental illness, a diagnosed mental illness. We try to fill that God-sized void in our lives because that's what gives us purpose. God has our purpose. If we don't know God, if we don't have any kind of relationship at all with Him, we have no purpose at all. But I understand that doesn't help you when you're still seeking Him. So what do you do? How do you fill that God-sized void? How do you How do you take on these inner demons when you haven't yet found that power from God to do so? Because even with that power from God, those inner demons they're damn strong. And the longer we let them in, the more powerful they become, the more hold they have over us. We all fight with inner demons every day, even those who have found God, even those who are enlightened, who have found Christ, who have found their way. We still have these inner demons, and we let our guard down for 1 minute. Here they come, taking over again. Believe me, nobody is perfect, and nobody is going to be able to avoid this. And you might think, oh, well, that's just hopeless. We're always at war. It's your choice whether to make it a war of violence or a war of peace. Because there are so many ways to fight our inner demons, but only one way, and that is through peace of God. Can we beat them? Can we keep them at bay? Now, our brains are like a radio receiver. Those with mental illness have a beautiful, beautiful mind. They really do. They have extraordinary minds, able to pick up on frequencies all the way from the delusional to the divine. Most people can't even pick up on anything outside of the standard frequency that we all are tuned into. But those who are blessed and cursed with mental health problems like bipolar, it feels like so much like a curse. But you read any kind of, almost every superhero story, you notice the superheroes are always like, why am I cursed with it? I didn't ask for this power. I didn't ask for this. Of course they didn't. God gave them to you. God gave you these powers that are in your mind. They gave you this extraordinary mind, but He has no control over if you accept Him into your heart and allow Him to be on your side, be your biggest ally. So we have to seek God through this whole process. And though you feel you haven't found Him, once you start doing the work and you start devising the strategy, then you will find you're closer to God. And when you're ready and when the time is right to open your eyes, you'll see Him standing right next to you. You might not think it's true. You might not. I understand. I wouldn't have. Well, I take my word for it. I'm just a guy, and I definitely don't have a perfect life by any stretch of the imagination, but all I can tell you is I was one of the most miserable, beat down people you could think of. And when I finally opened my eyes and my heart and my soul to God, that is when I found true inner peace. Now I am the wealthiest, the happiest person imaginable. So I will try to guide you, and this is going to be just the first, and I want your feedback. My friend who I've been praying over this, just asking God for guidance on for so long. This is the first plan that He gave me to try to help guide you from the darkness. We keep inviting these demons in. So when you have something like mental illness of really most any kind, you get all this extra noise because you're tuning into those other frequencies. You're tuning into that, you might get that spiritual frequency. You might get the delusional frequency. You might even have the divine in there. Usually it's pretty clear when God's talking to you, but until you open your eyes to him, not your physical eyes, your spiritual senses to him, you won't really be able to see it at all. But it'll still be noise in there, and it'll just mix in with the rest, because those demons that we let in are so strong. We try to drown them out, and we take drugs or alcohol, and it helps. We take a shot of whiskey and another shot, and all of a sudden the brain is calmed. Those noises they might still be there, but we no longer care, because our mind is carefree, because we are just feeling good. Wash that suffering away, right? Wash that pain away. So we keep doing it, because that's what a deal with the devil is. We keep taking in more and more and more, because it takes more and more to relieve that pain. Pretty soon, instead of 4 or 5 shots of whiskey, we're drinking bottles of whiskey. We're doing whatever drugs you can think of. And with each sip that we try to take away that pain, we are fulfilling that deal with the devil. Now, there are plenty of those who can drink and don't have a deal with the devil. But yours is to take away that pain. Yours is to alleviate that, especially mental pain, because mental pain is the worst pain. It can cause physical, it can cause spiritual, it can cause every other kind of pain. So we have that deal with the devil. But you know what? A deal with the devil, you have to read the fine print. And the deal with the devil says, you keep drinking, or you keep doing these drugs or this chemical, and I will take away your pain. Now, as always, the devil's in the details. If you've heard that phrase, it absolutely is. If you've heard any story about a deal with the devil, you know it goes wrong because of some fine print. So every sip you take, you need more and more each time to silence that noise in your head. So you just take more and more. But that was also in the fine print. It didn't say the amount that you had to take. It just said, you take this, I'll wash away your pain. The biggest detail that we missed when we signed that contract, and that we kept drinking or drugging to get rid of the pain and get rid of the noise, the biggest detail that we miss is they promise to take away the pain. They don't promise to take away the suffering. Because as I said, each drink and each drug that we take, the more and more we do it, the more we invite those demons to set up shop right in our heads. Take control completely. And then it's a spiral. Because you know it's a problem. But now if you stop, especially if you stop cold turkey, then all of those noises that you've been blocking out, they'll be blaring louder than ever, because you blocked them out for so long and they want to be heard so badly. They want to be heard. And they will do anything they can to be heard. So, we are now cursed with this noise that's louder than ever, and we are also cursed with addiction. Physical addiction. Sometimes it's so bad it can kill you coming off of it. with alcohol or barbiturates or something like that. It's so loud and so just a screeching, scraping on the chalkboard with their fingernails in your mind over and over and over again until it says, you better do something about this, because we got pain coming from every direction now, and now we got suffering coming from every direction. So keep doing it, because that's the only way you can do it. You're weak. You're weak. You have to do it. There's no other way around it. So you keep doing it. You're like, I can't. I'm just too weak. There is so many times when people get to this point where they either say, well, I'm just going to finish out my days as a drunkard or a drug addict, or I'm going to just end it completely. Shut off the noise permanently. Oh, the devil loves that. Because right in that fine print, you shut off that noise completely, and they got you. That's what they're going for. They want that torment in your life. They want it so bad. They feed off of torment. They are vampires sucking at your soul, sucking at everything that is dear to you, everything that could, all the joy in life that you missed, all the beauty you overlooked, every single thing, while you were drowning out the bad noises. And sure, we could have, if we could go back in time, we could have easily stopped it. Been like, well, this is going to happen, so I'm just not going to go down this road. I'm just going to deal with the noise while it's manageable. But we are human, and we make mistakes. And we make awful mistakes, and we make deals with the devil that we don't understand. I'm here to tell you about different ways to cope with this addiction. The first thing you have to do is make a plan, make a strategy. It's like the art at war at this point. Now remember, you may not have found God, but seek God through this whole process. Let him be your counselor. Tell him your problems. But we make our strategy. So what can we do when we've tried stopping cold turkey and it maybe over and over and over again and it never works? Because right when we sober up and right when we get over the DTs or whatever, that pain is still there, that noise is still blaring, and it just chips away at you and wears you down. So be ready for that. Know your enemy. You have to sit down and think about as many things as you can to take up every bit of free time that you can have. So get 50 different hobbies, write them down. So something that may sound interesting. Maybe you don't know if it's interesting. Maybe you get into knitting. Maybe you get into, one thing that was good for me was rock collecting. Maybe you get into foraging. Maybe you get into, I don't know, a sport. Maybe if you can't do too much, then you figure out what you can do and you fill up every moment of every single day. Have a schedule. You can have downtime, but that downtime should be filled with something to keep your mind occupied. So do a crossword puzzle, watch a movie, do this and that. But sometimes when you're just sitting and watching a movie or doing stuff like that, your mind starts going back to the noise. So try to watch something positive. Try to watch a positive movie. Listen to inspirational music. Do what you can. Create art. The number one thing that I want you to incorporate into this strategy is find as many things as you can do while getting exercise. Exercise is better than any antidepressant, better than any drug. It really is. Now, I understand some of you need certain things to keep your mind balanced because there's no controlling it. But if you let chaos rule your life and you just let, I'm just going to see what the day brings, and then you're right back to where you were. Just like when I was lost in the woods, and I ended up right back where I was. If you don't have a roadmap and a strategy for this, you're going to get off path over and over again. And it's going to happen anyway. It's never going to be avoidable. But you have to have strategies for that. So while you're doing this, you start thinking of as many things as you can. Things that you would like to have done, things that look interesting, maybe even things you never even thought about. Let your curiosity guide you. Don't let your delusions guide you. Let your curiosity and beauty and seeking God in life guide you. So something like, for me, it was rock collecting, rock hounding, I call it. They call it. I got my exercise because I walked. I have a bad back, so I always bring my walking stick, and each step I take I'm stretching my back out. But I'm searching the area for different gems and minerals that I can find. And I'm getting out and I'm getting my blood flowing. I'm getting my blood pumping, and it's making my endorphins and my dopamine in my head. That is building up my army. That's building up God's army. So I was constantly in nature. And I was doing something. I had a purpose to be in nature, and I had something that fulfilled me. When I found a gem or a mineral, I was happy. And it just made me so happy. I was connecting with people online about it, the rock collecting groups and stuff, and it really gave me a little purpose. And these little purposes might not be the grand purpose. You're not looking for the grand purpose. Ultimately, you are, but you're not worried about it. You're not forcing that grand purpose into your life. You're going through the woods. You're doing whatever you're doing. In my case, looking for rocks. Maybe you're looking for mushrooms or edible plants or whatever. So you're walking around with your mind focused on that. Your mind is not wandering to different things. It has a focus. If you don't have the focus, it's going to go back to that noise. Just cloud out the noise. If you've ever seen Daredevil, how he lost his sight, and all of a sudden, all of his other senses kicked into high gear, and he could hear everything and sense everything. Or, I'm a big comic book fan, so the telepaths in the X-Men or something. When they first get their powers, it's like, bam, it smacks them in the head, and they don't know what to do because they're overwhelmed. This is like you, because you're probably picking up on other people's emotions. You're probably picking up on all kinds of things. Who knows? You're channeling all sorts of things that only God knows. So you have this focus, and you have to have the exercise incorporated into it. If you can't do stuff like walking or whatever, there are things you can do. Do yoga, go swimming. There are things you can do to exercise and get your blood pumping, get your brain going, because you need those reinforcements. That dopamine, found in a good way, those endorphins are your backup, your army, battling off those demons that are making all that noise and quieting them. At least for a little while. And the more and more you get into shape and you start feeling better, the more you can cope with it. The better about yourself you'll feel. You'll start losing that anxiety. You'll start being able to go out. Maybe you have social anxiety. You can't go out into public. you'll start feeling better about that. You'll start being able to go and be out with people again. But don't start that way. If you have something like social anxiety, try taking baby steps. Maybe go to the library and go and sit in the corner and quietly read a book. You're around people, there's people around. You might have to say something to one of them here and there, but you're just there to quietly read a book and be around people, but not too close to people. And then maybe next time you pick a spot that has a little bit more people, but it's still quiet. Or maybe, like I said, hiking on the trails, find all the parks in your area and say, I'm going to hit each one of them. I'm going to make a YouTube video. I'm going to record all the best, coolest places I can find at every single park in my area and put it on YouTube and document it all. Maybe you'll find you're amazing at that. You'll find all kinds of different talents once you start exploring them. You'll find all kinds of interests and talents and all kinds of things. So let your curiosity go, focus, and then don't try to stop cold turkey if that doesn't work for you, because that's going to just flood your brain with that army of demons screaming. They say, no, let our people in, until you give in and let them. So what you do is every single day, as you're exercising and as you're doing whatever, you'll find it helps when you exercise to take less. You do less and less and less. Maybe if you're drinking a bottle of whiskey a day, maybe drink 3/4 or 3/4 of the bottle for the first however long, and then go down to half, then go down to 1/4, then go down to nothing, because you will be weaned off. And maybe that last little bit is going to take a little longer because you still need to quiet them somewhat. You still need a little bit of help from that. It feels like you can't do it on your own yet, but you are slowly, methodically picking off that army of demons. You're getting them the hell out of your head, because that's their vessel to get into your mind. And I hope that soon, after you've done all this, remember, okay, so you have a strategy. You have 1,000 things every single thing you can think of that you've ever been interested in doing that's manageable. You're not going to say, I'm going to go travel the world, but I have no money. You're going to pick something near you that you can do. Make sure that if you want to go out and do all the parks, but one day it's raining and you can't go do it, and then you're like stuck inside and there's a noise again, screeching and screaming, you have something to do at home. Or you just say, hell with it, I'm just going to go walking in the rain. I'm going to go walking in whatever weather it is. I don't even care. But you have to have a backup. You have to have backups upon backups upon backups. You have to know, if I can't do yoga in the woods or whatever you pick. I don't know what you want to get into, because everybody's so different. So if you can't do that, then have an alternative. Have a pitch hitter for yourself. So you'd find something inside. Maybe this was time to work on, I said, you get so anxious and you go to the library, maybe we have a mall near us that's always almost empty. I don't know how they're still in business. But when the weather is crazy, it's like 200 degrees in Raleigh, I take them to that mall, and I take my girls to the mall and I walk them around. You go walking around in the mall yourself. Go do like 20 laps in the mall. Be like the old people. Don't care what other people think about you. You're done with that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They are not thinking about you unless you make them think about you. And who cares what they think anyway if they are? Go out and just live your damn life. It's too beautiful to waste. All right? It's too precious. You cannot waste it. Do not let it beat you. You're resilient. You have God on your side. You just don't know how to find him, but you have the backup when you finally get to the point where you absolutely need him, and he comes in and he will help you. The whole time you're seeking God and you're asking him, please guide me, but treat him like a friend and a counselor. The Bible said the Holy Spirit is a counselor, and it fills you and it tells you what you need. It shows you the direction. So talk to God and be like, I really want to drink today. I really want to have more than, if you're still just weaning off of it, I want to have that whole bottle instead of half the bottle like I'm down to. You tell God and you tell them, man, it's really hard. If you could show me some kind of sign. And I have plenty of videos about how to read the signs from God, and we all have our own unique ways. But you have to rely on him. Rely on however you want to talk to God. Don't let anyone tell you it's wrong. Don't let anybody tell you anything about it, except for if they're trying to help you better get to know him. So the final thing I'll say today is there's going to be obstacles. Of course there is. There always is. There's always struggles to overcome. That's life. That's how we gain our wisdom. Let's say there's people in your life who really just are toxic people. All right, so they are just driving you completely nuts. And let's say you're trying to do this strategy. You're trying to fill your time completely. But they're like, no, you need to spend time with me and you need to do what I want. Well, first of all, you're always going to have things that come up that aren't on the strategy and aren't on the schedule and aren't on the plan. That's just life. But the more you can stick to it, the better. But let's say you have somebody that keeps trying to rip you away from that strategy, that plan, and saying, no, you need to come and do what I want to do. It's not right. Or maybe they're addicted to and they're just like, I'm trying to pull you down with them. If that's the case, if there's no way to deal with them, you have to separate yourself from them. And I'm not saying permanently, I'm not saying anything like that. You have to tell them, look, I am going to do this the way that I need to do so I can be a better person. I can be a better friend or partner or whoever to you. And then I'll have more time for you. But you need to go in that self-discovery. You need to be like that, they used to have those spirit quests where they went out into the woods and, or whatever. You need to go out and just discover yourself. Or Jesus walked into the desert for 40 days and he confronted the devil plenty of time. He confronted the devil. The devil offered him so many things. Maybe look at Jesus in the desert and see how that relates to your addiction. Because there is an answer and a story about every single thing you will ever encounter in life in the Bible or in some religious texts or somewhere. You're not going to encounter something new. You're going to encounter it in different ways because we have technology and stuff now, but you're not going to encounter something that people haven't dealt with before and have been dealing with since the beginning of man. You're going to have to tell these people, if you love me, you need to get out of my way and let me fix myself. And I'll leave you with this quote from Bob Marley. Free yourself from mental slavery. Of course I messed it up. Free yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. And that's absolutely right, except for God can help us free ourselves. But unless we open that door for him, he can't do anything for us. We have to accept him into our lives. God bless. I'll talk to you soon.